looking at funny noses today on Disney's Animal World and sizing up one of the biggest animals in the world. But it's not hippos, and it's certainly not giraffes. Today we're looking at rhinos. We'll be marking our territory and charging our enemies. Then, seeing how much you remember about rhinos in quiz time. First, let's see where you can find them. Rhinos live in two different parts of the world. On the grassy plains of Central and Southern Africa, and in Southern Asia. In fact, wherever you look for rhinos, it's not hard to spot them. They're huge, gray animals with big horns on their noses and pointy, swiveling ears on top of their heads. Rhinos are the second biggest land animal, after elephants. And just like elephants, they love rolling around in mud. In fact, you can actually tell where a rhino is from by the color of the mud it rolls in. There are two types of rhino in Africa, one called the white rhino and one called the black rhino. They're both the same color, really. It's just dark or light colored mud that covers them. And everyone knows that pink rhinos don't actually exist. Do they? The baby rhinos are called calves, and when they're born, they will already weigh the same as a 12-year-old human. Can you imagine holding a baby who's that big? Calves stay with their mom for the first 2 or 3 years of their life. She teaches them where to find food and how to look out for danger. Moms always guard their young. She just protects them from any predators that live nearby. Predators, like hyenas, eat any sort of meat, even rhino meat. Luckily, most predators are scared of anyone with a horn this big. Wouldn't you be? Elephant calves are born with their tusks, but rhino calves have to wait for their horns to grow. It usually takes about 6 months before the first bit of horn starts to appear. This might sound weird, but their horns aren't actually made of bone. Rhino horns are made of keratin. Keratin is the same stuff that makes up your hair and your fingernails. This might sound a little cruel, but when a calf's mom has another baby, she actually pushes the older calf away. This is so she can look after her new baby. And it usually happens when the older calf is about 2 or 3 years old. So although it's upsetting for the older calves, it does help them learn to look after themselves. Young rhinos don't really become adults until they're about 7 years old. And the males won't be fully grown until they're about 12. A fully grown male rhino can weigh over 2 tons. Now that's pretty big and pretty frightening. The males need to eat lots of food to get that big. Once they're fully grown, male rhinos prefer to live alone. Each male rhino will defend its territory against any intruders. And these territories always contain a water hole. Male rhinos often share those water holes with other animals like zebras. We'll let the animals stop for a drink now, because it's quiz time. Okay, let's go. Which is the only land animal that's bigger than a rhino? Is it a hippo, an elephant, or a giraffe? Think about it. That's right. An elephant is the only land animal that's bigger than a rhino. Let's do one more. When do calves start getting their horns? Is it when they're born? When they're 6 months old? Or at their first birthday party? You know this one. Well done. Calves start getting their horns when they're about 6 months old. Now, let's see what else rhinos do. Well, rhinos only eat leaves and grass, and they have very large stomachs to fill. So 12 hours of every day is spent finding and eating plants. They prefer to eat at night, because daytime is far too hot. Rhinos would rather spend their days napping in the shade or wallowing in the mud. They're not very active animals. But then Africa and Southern Asia are hot places. And animals the size of rhinos need to keep as cool as they can. When they cover themselves in mud, they're not just being messy. It's another way of keeping cool. Their skins are so thick that rhinos aren't able to sweat, so the mud coating draws heat from their bodies instead. One way for rhinos to mark their territories is by rubbing their horns on trees. They can carve deep grooves in the wood as a marking. So can he. Unfortunately, this doesn't do much to keep predators away. Rhinos need to look out for lions and hyenas. A young rhino can make an easy snack for them if it's not looked after properly. Moms have to stay close to the little ones and not let them stray away. Luckily for adults, they don't need to worry so much about predators. If you're as big as a rhino with a massive sharp horn on your nose, most animals will run away from you. These calm creatures can get quite angry if they're in danger. And rhinos aren't afraid to charge at other animals to scare them off. They'll also charge in groups to be extra scary, even if it doesn't always work out. Rhinos usually snarl and shriek at their enemies first to warn them off. A little like elephants. Unfortunately, the adult males also enjoy charging at each other and wrestling as a sort of game. This usually happens when one male walks onto another male's patch. The two rhinos have a fight to decide whose piece of land it is. Now, although they're just playing, it's also very dangerous. Rhinos can get hurt from each other's horns. They should play other games if they don't want to get hurt. We'll be finding out more about charging later, but now we've got to fight for some answers. It's quiz time. Are you ready? Okay, first question. When do rhinos prefer to eat? Is it in the morning, at lunchtime, or at nighttime? Come on, you remember this one? That's right. Rhinos prefer to eat at night. Let's do one more question. Why do rhinos rub their horns on trees? Is it to practice their spelling, to help them find their way home, or to mark their territories? Think about it. Well done. Rhinos rub their horns on trees to mark their territories. So a rhino's horn is used as a tool and as a weapon when it's charging. But rhinos often make mistakes when they charge. You see, rhinos have very poor eyesight. They can only see about 10 yards in front of them. Because of this, they can sometimes charge when there's nobody to charge at. Look at him. They get a bit confused and think they're seeing things that aren't there. Sometimes really odd things. So instead of trusting their eyes like we do, rhinos have other warning systems. They have very good hearing and large ears that can twist in different directions. Well, not that large, obviously. They can even hear animals sneaking up behind them. Tick birds often take a rest from flying by landing on a rhino's back. When they spot trouble, they'll suddenly take off and fly away. They have to watch out where they're going, though. When tick birds fly away, the rhinos know that someone unfriendly might be approaching. As well as being fierce chargers, rhinos are very good at running in the opposite direction. In fact, they prefer to run away from danger. Although they might look like slow, heavy creatures, rhinos are very agile. If you startle a rhino, you better hope he runs the other way. Of course, sometimes they change their mind and turn around to charge. Because they're so agile, turning around quickly is no problem. So it's best to get out of their way. Because they're such fast, tough animals, rhinos can live to be very old. If they're very lucky and stay healthy, rhinos can live to be 60 years old, which is pretty old for wild animals. So there's plenty of reasons for celebrating. Rhinos have also been walking the earth for longer than most mammals. In fact, they're nearly as old as the dinosaurs. No. The real dinosaurs. The first types of rhinos were charging around 40 million years ago, and they looked almost the same as they do today. Rhinos' bodies are very tough. Their thick skin sags over their legs to give them extra protection. This extra layer of skin acts as a shield against a predator's claw, or another rhino's horn, whatever color it might be. A rhino's body is designed to protect it from all kinds of danger. Now, a rhino's brain is not very big. It's actually smaller than the rhino's nostrils. And remember, a rhino has a keen sense of smell. Rhinos know how to defend themselves from danger, clearly mark their territory, and stay cool even though they can't sweat. Well, that's all we've got time for today. I hope you've enjoyed getting to know all about rhinos. They're one of the largest creatures on Earth. They're not afraid to charge at danger and protect their children from other animals. Rhinos may be funny to look at, but they're built that way for a reason. And there are other unusual looking animals, just like these two. And that's another amazing creature from Disney's Animal World.